What's going on, 49er Faithful, 49er Fan, 49er Gang? This is your boy, Niner Gang Podcast, back in the building. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so I can keep you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49ers. With that being said, let's get right on into it, man. What's going on, Matt? What's going on, 49er Chanel? Man, the offseason is here. It's here in a big way. And we got some free agents. And we need to figure out who's going, who's coming, who's staying, everything, man. But one of the things that I definitely wanted to get into today was it is flat out ridiculous what has happened to this coaching staff, man. We have been massacred in ways you can't imagine, and we got to take a look into that because we got to figure out how to fill all these positions. Now, a couple of these guys have been poached from, our own ranks as it pertains to the guys that we definitely would like to keep. But, it is what it is. People can go and come and go as they please. You can't hold nobody anywhere else. So I'm going to just go off this article from 49ers Web Zone. Hey, Mom. Change is inevitable in the NFL. The 2022 offseason will be no different for the San Francisco 49ers. Head coach Kyle Shanahan's staff. Below are the reported coaching changes made following the 2021 season. Right now, the only addition that we've made is former Detroit Lions offensive coordinator and Los Angeles Chargers head coach Anthony Lynn, who was hired as the assistant head coach when we let go of John Embry, who was our tight ends coach / assistant head coach. We had asked John Embry to take a 60% pay cut. We were most likely going to have him coaching just the tight ends and no one else and nothing else, and he declined that, so we had to let him go. Understandable, and then we replaced him as far as the assistant head coach with Anthony Lynn. I know there was a lot to be made about that because Solomon Wilcots came out and basically kind of made us look bad, and then we turned around and hired another black assistant head coach. So kind of had to eat your words there, Solomon. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. So here's the other thing. These are the departures. Mike McDaniel is over in Miami. We now know that – what's going on, Andy Smith? We now know that Mike McDaniel is a brother. And shout out to Mike from NBN, man, finding a picture of his dad. He had the Elder Bars look going on, man. So, Pops is just a light-skinned brother. So now we know that Mike McDaniel is black. Or partially black. He's multiracial, biracial, whatever he wants to use. He's got a little black in him. So technically he qualifies as a minority hire. We get a little compensation for him leaving. The other coaching changes in the league are Bears hired Richard Hightower, so he is now with them. He is their special teams coordinator. So we're out an offensive coordinator so far, and we're out a special teams coordinator. Assistant head coach and tight ends coach John Embry was not retained. He later joined McDaniel's staff in Miami to serve the same role he had with the Niners. So he wound up being another assistant head coach. So he went with Mike McDaniels. Wes Welker went over with Mike McDaniels to Miami. So now we're out the wide receivers coach. Assistant offensive line coach Butch Berry leaves to be the Broncos offensive line coach. So instead of him being an assistant, he is now the straight-up offensive line coach over there. And assistant offensive line coach Zach Yesner leaves to be the offensive line coach at the University of Kentucky. So 2 assistant offensive line coaches are gone. We lost our tight ends coach. We lost our wide receivers coach. We lost our offensive coordinator. If you could say that's what he was, I still don't believe that he really did much of anything. I mean, he had input on the game plan. I'm not taking away from him. But what I would say is, the guy did a great job, but I'm not going to sit up here and say that the young man wound up doing a whole lot. I think that Kyle Shanahan was still calling the plays. That's just my thought process on it. So we lost a lot of coaches, and we've only really replaced one with a tight ends coach, with a assistant head coach when it comes to Anthony Lynn. So that's a little scary because we got to go into the offseason figuring out who we're going to get to replace these guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm 100% sure that Kyle Shanahan knows a ton of different people in the league that would definitely love to have the job. And I'm pretty sure he's going to employ people who he definitely feels comfortable with and who he knows because, Mike is what, as I always like to say, he's always helping out the homie, man. He does that. And, I give him that much. Shout out to, Kyle for making sure that he, goes back and looks out for his boys. That's a good dude. Matt says Mike will get fired after 2 years because the Dolphins are a poverty franchise. I don't know. It all depends. I think Mike might be able to build around Tua Tagovailoa. That was part of the reason that they let Flores go. He wasn't a big believer in Tua, and they wanted him to just basically kind of roll with it. Like, hey, look, man, Tua's our guy. You're going to deal with it. This is the dude we want. It is what it is. And I don't think he was a big believer in him. So that was part of the reason they let him go, outside of all of the other things that we definitely have already kind of spoken about and talked about in one of my previous videos. So the next thing that we have to tackle is, along with all these coaches we have to replace, we've got a laundry list of players that are going to be gone, that are leaving, that are free agents. And we got to talk about this, man, because we got to figure out who should stay and who should go. And that's the main focus here is basically who do you want to pay? Because right now, currently, the 49ers have about $5 to $6 million in cap space. And we got to get some money off the books, i.e. trading Jimmy Garoppolo, getting his money off the books, cutting D4, getting his money off the books. And then, of course, the cap, I believe, is supposed to go up from anywhere to $22 to $25 million. So with that being said, you're fortunate if you can get that kind of an increase in the cap, along with getting rid of those players, their contract, and their money. There have been reports that some people have already asked about Garoppolo, but they are asking us to take care of some of his salary for the 2022 season, which we are not going to do. If we trade him, you take the money, you take everything that comes with him. Najee Harris said he liked Jimmy Garoppolo, so you can go ahead and head over to the Steelers if you like. I literally traded Jimmy Garoppolo to the Steelers for a second-round pick. They would give me a first, but I got the second. So, possibility of a reality? We'll see. But for me, I'm looking at these free agents, and there are some dudes that we should keep. There are guys that we should re-sign and guys that we should not. So we'll go over these free agents, not in any specific order, and I'll let you know who I think should stay and who should roll out. It all depends on the salary cap and what we can do. We still have to make sure we put money aside for the rookies that we sign. We do not have a first-round pick, so we don't have to worry about giving out a lofty contract to a first-round pick, due to us going ahead and trading that for Trey Lance. So when you come in and look at it, the first guy on the list is Laken Tomlinson. Now, Laken Tomlinson has been a pretty good guard for us ever since we went ahead and traded from him from Detroit. We went ahead and made that move, and he's worked out fairly well. He's not the greatest left guard in the game, but he definitely ain't the worst. So I'd put him probably at least in the top 10, the top 15 as far as left guards go in the league. And I'll say Laken Tomlinson, keep that guy. I would definitely want to re-sign him because he gives us he keeps that left side of the line nice and tight along with him and Trent Williams, and I'm comfortable with bringing Laken Tomlinson back. I know a lot of people do not like him. They may not care for him. Me personally, I'm going to sit here and tell you I like Laken, so let's go ahead and keep him, okay? We'll keep on moving down the list. Sorry, I had to do that because the wind is coming in and it feels good, man. Jason Verrett. Now, here's the unfortunate situation with this. Do you love Jason Verrett? Yeah, because when he's on the field, he is a full-on, flat-out monster. Terradome, what's going on? Laken Tomlinson is solid. Yes, sir. He is a full-on, flat-out monster. Here's the unfortunate issue with Jason Verrett. He gets injured a lot. And you never know if you're going to get a full season out of him. What we got from him in 2020 was an anomaly. And once again, when you see he's on the field, he makes a difference. The guy just is a stud. But the issue is he doesn't stay healthy enough for us to be able to use him in the way that we would like to. That's where it comes into play. So as much as I would love to keep Jason Verrett, Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to pass. And like I said, I like him. I really think he's a good dude, but I'm gonna have to pass on Jason Verrett. We got to let him go ahead and go out there in the free agency, test the waters. If they decided they're going to go ahead and do it on like a 1 year prove it deal again, I get it, but he's only getting older. I think he's 30 or 31. And it's nothing against him. He has a real problem with staying healthy, and that's very unfortunate. Um, let's see. Matt says, do you think we would have to add a pick to make team? No, I don't think we would. As long as we negotiate properly, I don't think we really need to add a pick to Jimmy Garoppolo along with that. If we do, it's going to be a super late round pick, like a 6th or a 7th. But the issue is we don't really want to give away late round picks because that's where we make our money. That's where we hit on most of the players that we have. We haven't seen much of Trey Sermon. Aaron Banks has been all but a disappointment because he's not even on the field, and nothing but negative things coming out of camp about him as far as reports on how he's moving or progressing. We don't know. We really don't. But I don't think we should add a pick to Jimmy Garoppolo. I think we should just trade him for what he is and get back something in return. And if you get less than a first or a second round pick, I believe that you should go ahead and make sure that you get double picks for him. Even if it's a late round pick, we make money there anyway. So next guy on the list is DJ Jones. Now, DJ Jones filled in admirably and did a fantastic job for us in the run game in the absence of Javon Kinlaw, because typically when we have the rundowns, we want them big hogs in the middle. We were like Kinlaw here and DJ Jones here. So what happened was Kinlaw went down. He had a surgery, boom, out for the year. Another year missed, and we took a flyer on an injury-prone type player and a guy who had knee issues that we knew about, and we drafted him anyway, which kind of pisses me off, but that's neither here nor there. Focus is on DJ Jones. He had a spectacular year. Now, here's the other thing. We moved Eric Armstead inside next to DJ Jones, and that worked out well. We did a fantastic, phenomenal job with both of those dudes in the middle, and they were wreaking havoc, and they were making plays. I like DJ Jones. That's a guy that I'm going to say, keep that guy. We go ahead and bring DJ Jones back. We make sure that, he does exactly what he's supposed to do, and we keep him in a 49er uniform. Now, I don't know necessarily what you can do as far as like how you bring him back and the money and the things of that nature, but whatever you got to do, get this guy signed, bring him back. He was asked in his exit interview as far as, he's solid. As far as, what he thinks is going to happen in the offseason, he is a God-fearing man. And that young man said straight up, hey, look, it's all in the hands of God. Whatever the good Lord wants is what's going to happen. So I appreciate him for that, and I hope that the good Lord wants him to be a 49er because I like DJ Jones. Keep that guy. So the other thing about DJ is when you take a look at it, and you're looking at things from a defensive standpoint, give me just a quick second because this went to the postseason. We're going to go to the regular season because I can give you a couple of stats from some of these dudes as it pertains to what they did throughout the year because these guys have been here. So DJ Jones played in all 17 games. He had 40 tackles. He had 56 tackles. He had 2 sacks. And he had 10 tackles for a loss along with a pass defense. And DJ Jones had 2 forced fumbles. Those numbers alone right there. What's going on, Callie? What's the bigger prize? Ooh, Callie, why you going to do that to me, dog? Damn. He wouldn't hit me with the question, y'all. Yeah. Oh. So here's the thing. We got a weird scenario here, guys. So I'm gonna address this. It's a catch-22. A little bit of a catch-22. Here's the thing. If Kinlaw comes back healthy, DJ Jones becomes partially expendable because we'll have Kinlaw. But we can't trust that Kinlaw gonna be healthy because it's up and down. The only year that man was healthy was in 2020 when we had that COVID rabbit season, and I think he still missed a few games then. So, if Kinlaw's healthy, Jones becomes a bit expendable because you have him in the middle and he'll be the run stuffer that we know he can be. And then, you go ahead and you focus on Lakin. What I will say is, as of right now, because I don't know what Kinlaw's status is and what it's going to be for training camp, OTA, start of the season, any of that, I'm going to go with Lakin Tomlinson being the bigger priority. And the reason being is because we need him to help keep Trey Lance upright. And plus, it'll be an easier transition for him. See, all of our offensive linemen have to be athletic because of the type of scheme we run. That's what Kyle likes. He wants you to be able to move. He wants you to be able to pull. He wants you to be able to do all these things. He loves you to be able to play across the whole line. He'd love every offensive lineman to be able to play every slot and play it perfectly. But that's a pipe dream. So in this instance, I guess just because of the uncertainty of what's going on with Javon, I'm gonna have to say that Lakin Tomlinson is the bigger priority. But great question, Kelly. Fantastic question. You got me there, man. That's a hard one to go. Cubby Coffee, yeah. Let's go Niners. Let's see here. Better stats for DJ. Yeah, DJ Jones is a solid dude, man. That's why I said bring him back. Next guy up on the list. Raheem the Dream Mostert. You love Raheem. You love him because when he puts his foot in the ground, he's just God. He goes, and the man just out of there. Here's the issue: a little bit of injury prone, man. He only had that one healthy season in 2019. He was up and down 2020, and he didn't even play this year. Or should I say this past year, he wound up taking the full year off, getting the proper surgery, feeling that he was going to be good. Here's the thing. We got Elijah Mitchell. We got Trey Sermon. I think they still had Jermichael Hasty, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not sure. I think maybe a little further down the list, he may be one of the guys that's a free agent. But here's the thing. I say move on. Stick with Mitchell. Stick with Sermon. Those are the guys you drafted. Let them take us into the future and keep pushing. It's nothing against Raheem Mostert personally. It's just that I don't want him to keep coming in and then they have to give him another incentive-laden contract because he wants more money. There's a whole lot of things, to go over. So for me, unfortunately, we can let Raheem Mostert go and move on. We got Happy here. Hold on one second. Happy says, if you had to pick between Verrett or Mostert, who would you pick? See, that's a tough one because both of them are injury prone. And DB is my favorite position in football, but I love what Mostert can bring. So to be honest with you, if I'm talking about this season and I'm talking about being a little more comfortable with a guy that may possibly be ready and I think is going to be able to hit OTAs and hit the ground running with no limitations, I'll take Raheem Mostert. If I had to pick, I'll take Raheem. Only because I know what I got with him, and I feel like he has a higher probability of staying healthy than Jason Verrett does. I'll get to Bosa in a second here. Mostert's a home run hitter, man. That track speed gets you. And what people forget is, and I've said this before, I will continue to maintain this. These are facts. You cannot dispute it. Raheem Mostert is the fastest man in the NFL. He was clocked at 23.09 miles per hour. There was not another person clocked that high ever. So all this Tyreek Hill bullshit and all these other things, look, y'all motherfuckers need to move to the back of the line. When you hit 23.10 miles an hour, come talk to me. Until then, Raheem Mostert is the fastest man in the NFL, period. No questions asked, nothing you can say to me. So let's move on. K'Waun Williams. Now let's go over the stats for the Shark because we all love Shark. We know he's our nickel corner. He's been our nickel corner for years. He's been that dude, and he's actually, a real stalwart in this defense when it comes to that nickel position. K'Waun Williams played 14 games. He had 52 tackles. He had 1 sack. He had 5 tackles for a loss, 4 passes defense, 1 interception, and he had a forced fumble from what it looks like. So One interception. Yes, and you cannot teach speed. Speed is a God-given talent. You cannot do anything with that. You either have it or you don't. You may be able to put on a parachute and help a dude with a couple of little things. You might be able to increase his speed maybe a little bit, but not much. Speed is a God-given talent. You either got it or you don't. So for me, I love Shark. I love what he brings to the table. It really hurts me to even think about losing him because of what he means to the squad. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to say we got to move on. I like Shark, but this wasn't a really good year for him. He whiffed on a lot of plays. Almost seems to have felt like he lost a step. It's a little unfortunate, but I'm going to say we got to move on from K1. We do have Diamador Lenore waiting in the wings. He was drafted to play that nickel spot. So currently, right now, all we have is Emmanuel Mosley, Diamador Lenore, and Ambry Thomas. So if that was supposed to be the three guys we run out there, Lenore would be sticking into the slot. So it's with a heavy heart I have to say, got to let him go. Let go of the Shark. I love him, but, you got to let him go. Got to move on. So, Jeff Wilson Jr. Jeff Wilson Jr. is a free agent. He has been a running back for us. Didn't really play much this year. Didn't do much of anything. He played 9 games, 79 attempts, 294 yards, averaged 3.7 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns. That was like about as good as it gets. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. Jeff Wilson Jr., see you later. Got to let that guy go. No need to really keep him. Understand his familiarity with the offense, but it is what it is. Ross the Boss Dwelly, another guy. Didn't really do much this year. Was all but almost non-existent. Played in all 17 games. Was available at least. He only had 4 catches for 51 yards, 1 TD, averaged 12.8 yards per catch. He only had about 5 yards of yak, like Ross the Boss Dwelly. But we have Charlie Warner there. He's going to be a little more cost-effective. Sorry, Ross. We got to let you go. Moving on, we have Josh Norman. Josh Norman, early in the season, was an aberration for us because we appreciated him for his ability to get the ball out. Josh Norman played 15 games. He had 49 tackles. He had 3 tackles for a loss, 5 passes defense, 1 interception, and he had 7 forced fumbles. Now, that was the main reason why we liked him. We loved Josh Norman for that peanut punch and, getting that ball out. Thing is that happened all early in the season, and it just fell off, and he disappeared. He was very prone to getting pass interference penalties. We didn't like that. If you notice, the minute Ambry Thomas hit the field, even when he was getting cooked and baked, they said, you know what, we're rolling with the kid. His confidence grew, and he just continued to make play after play after play. And Josh Norman continually just disappeared. So, Josh Norman, hey, what's going on, Cook and Smoke Sports? Appreciate you, brother, stopping in. Josh Norman, see you later, man. And Terradome's got some good cats over here. He says we can draft number 85, Dolchich out of UCLA. I like anything UCLA. That is my college squad. I love that. As far as DBs, he said we're going to draft Kobe Bryant from Cincinnati in the 2nd round. Those are going to be some things that we'll look into. So next up on the list, we got Marcel Harris. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Marcel Harris. I'll give you his stats. Marcel Harris played 15 games. He had 44 tackles, 1 sack, 2 TFLs, 1 pass defense, an interception, and that's it. Marcel Harris. Hey, what's going on, Mariah? Marcel Harris, check the deuces, bro. Peace out. That's it. No mas. Don't even need him anymore, man. He was all right, and we converted him to linebacker. He was so-so. Just not really much. There's no real reason. to really do that. And first of all, Matt, don't you come in here talking shit about my Bruins, okay? Talk about we ain't been relevant since Troy Aikman. We've been relevant since Troy Aikman, and we still more relevant now today. Okay? Don't you come in here talking shit about my UCLA Bruins, all right? We relevant. We still churn out talent, okay? You know, you still got Miles Jack out of us. There's still an Anthony Barr in the league. We churned out some DBs. You wouldn't have, if you didn't have us, you wouldn't have Maurice Jones-Drew. We had J.J. Stokes, who we drafted back in the day. Come on now, man. Don't get me started, all right? Don't try to throw me off track with your slander for my UCLA Bruins. Watch your mouth in here, okay? Let's keep it down. Let's bring it down a notch. So, next guy on the list, Mohamed Sanu. So, Mr. Sanu did much of nothing, was injured for most of the year, and we don't really need him. So, Sanu, he played 8 games. He had 15 receptions for 177 yards, and he had no touchdown. So, Mohamed Sanu, chucking out the deuces. You know, I know, Matt. It's all love, bro. So, next guy on the list. This dude is a hard sell. And I think y'all know who I'm talking about, man. We talking about Jaquiski Tartt. And the reason that I say it's a hard sell for me because Tartt played 14 games. He was dealing with that turf toe. He had 66 tackles, 5 TFLs. He had 1 pass defense, and that was it. So the one reason you like Tartt is because of the synergy that him and Jimmy Ward have. They've been playing together since high school, through college, and all the way through up into the pro ranks. You love Tartt. You really do. I love Tartt for him standing up and owning his shit when he missed that interception versus the Rams. I know a lot of people thought that would kill the game and the game would be over. It's not the case. The game would have been over at that point. We just could have had a chance to run some time off of the clock and not give Matthew Stafford enough time to really go ahead and get downfield. But part of that was on that dumbass prevent defense we were running. But I'm not going to go back there. We're going to stick to the script. So Tartt owned that. He came with the tweet immediately and said, I make that catch 1,000,000 times in my sleep. I should have caught that. I appreciate him for that. I respect him for that. But I honestly think we can let him go. I think we can move forward, man. I think we can move on and move forward and find a guy that's going to be a little more cost effective, a little bit younger, and somebody who can stay consistently healthy because Tartt has been injured here and there throughout his career. We love Tartt, and if they do bring him back, I'm happy about it because that means that him and Jimmy Ward have another year in the system, and that cohesion is already there. They already know what to do. But for me, got to chuck the deuces to Tartt, man. Got to let him go. So, next guy on the list, Tavon Wilson. Not going to talk about him. Not even going to bring up his stats. Goodbye. Next person on the list, Tom Compton. Tom Compton played admirably when Mike McGlinchey went down. I, along with a lot of other people, thought that we were going to slide Jalen Moore over at right tackle because he seems to be the swing tackle at this point. Because, of course, Sean Coleman was injured as always and cut him and whatever. But he played all right. He's really good in the run game, but he's shit in the pass game. He had a couple of games where he looked okay in the pass game, but still it's just that there's something that's going to happen. And then when you saw us in this NFC championship game, he was a fucking weak link. He definitely was. That's a lot to be said about our right side of our offensive line in general. So, Tom Compton, got to chuck the deuces, bro. Got to let you go, man. Next guy on the list is Dante Johnson. Here's the thing, okay? Let's go ahead and look at this. Because as nerve-wracking as it is for me to say that damn name, because he gets on my last nerve, because for some ungodly reason, he seems to always be on the damn squad. Now, Dante Johnson can play all 5 positions, including the safety position. He can play the nickel. He can play left, right corner. He can play strong or free safety. That's the reason why you kind of bring him back a lot. Dante Johnson was here for all 16 games. That man had 2 pass defense, 1 forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries. That's about as good as it gets. Johnson, We'd love to see him gone, but don't count out the fact that he'll be back. And I'll tell you why. That man knows where the bodies are buried. He knows people's secrets or something. Because randomly, every goddamn year, he shows up on our roster. So for me, gone, goodbye, good riddance, see you, don't want you, but wouldn't be surprised if he's back because they keep bringing him back. Next guy on the list is Maurice Hurst. Now Hurst couldn't even get onto the field the latter part of the season. Everybody was looking for him to help us out with the run game. We kept him, all of that stuff. Personally, bye Mo Hurst. I ain't even about to read your stats. See you later. Don't need you. Now here's the guy that we definitely want to keep because he had his career year with us, and I like him too. Arden Key. 17 games, the man had 22 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 5 TFLs, 1 pass defense, and I think he had a damn good season. He had a lot of pressure on the QB. He did a fantastic fucking job. Like, he was great, man. He was great, and it was better for him. He said he liked it better here. I know a lot of Raider fans were talking crap about him because he was saying, it's better to be with this franchise and explain some things that he liked. And he said that there was some dysfunction with the Raiders franchise. But it's the Raiders. There's always going to be dysfunction. That's just how the fuck it works. So it is what it is. Me personally, I say keep him. Find a way to keep Arden Key. He is a great depth piece on his defensive line. I love him. I like him, and I think he'll work well. And sometimes it's the Chris Kasarik effect. Like, he finds a way to get everything he can out of those defensive linemen, man. He just does it. Next guy on the list, we are going to go with Jordan Willis. So we all know who Jordan Willis is. We all know what Jordan Willis did. He blocked that punt. He helped us save the game against the Packers so that we could actually score and then be able to get down the field close enough to get Robbie in position to kick that field goal and send Aaron Rodgers' ass packing again. So Jordan Willis has probably one of the best bull rushes I've ever seen in the game. That man gets down on both hands, puts his shit in the dirt, and he gets right up under your pads and runs you right into whoever, whenever, however. He loves taking them, it seems like he likes taking a man to doing things against his will. Jordan Willis, stay here. Don't go nowhere. We like you. Great for special teams and great as a rotational piece on the defensive line. Jordan Willis, stay with us, man. I like that guy. Next guy on the list, Trent Sherfield. Trent Sherfield, early in the preseason, man, it was all this talk about how Sherfield was the guy. He was the man. He was pushing Brandon Ayuk for his spot, all this other bullshit. But then randomly, we don't see Trent Sherfield on the field. Ayuk is out there the whole fucking season. Now, it's nothing against Ayuk. I want him out there. I want him to play. I want him to get targets. I want him to create separation. I want him to do all these things. I want Ayuk to continue to be a great, fantastic receiver because we went back into the first round to go get him. But why all the hype around Trent Sherfield and then the man doesn't even get used? 9 times out of 10 when he's on the field, it's because he's blocking. Now, he's great in special teams, great blocker, does all right as a receiver. This year, he didn't really even have any stats when it came to receiving. Trent Sherfield, 9 catches, 87 yards, and 1 TD. And the 1 TD came when? In the Detroit game. And it came from who? Trey Lance, who in preseason, Trent Sherfield was his guy. So I would have thought we would have seen a lot of Trent Sherfield and a lot of Jawan Jennings in the Arizona game, seeing how they were the ones that Trey Lance was running with, and he was running a scout team with him. But no, we put the starters on the field, and I understand that, but you could have rotated in these dudes to help him build some comfort and continuity. And then, once he starts getting into a rhythm and motion, he can be able to hit the other guys. But no, we don't do that. We just run the worst fucking game plan I can think of when it comes to, what Kyle Shanahan did in Arizona. And I was at that game. It was pathetic. But nonetheless, Trent Sherfield, he can go. I mean, I don't really think we're going to keep him. I think we're going to just roll forward with Juwan Jennings. So like Trent Sherfield, but if we're keeping him, we keep him for special teams. If he goes, not going to really hurt my feelings. Trenton Cannon, supposed to be our return guy. He had that concussion, and that man didn't come back for weeks on end. I think there was a hell of a lot more going on because a concussion should keep you out for no more than 2 weeks. But if you have lingering effects for that damn long, as long as they kept Trenton Cannon out, there was something more that they did not tell us. For me, not really not really sold on Trenton Cannon. I mean, he can go. Don't really need him. We can find another guy to return the ball if we need to. Next up, Daniel Brunskill. So shout out to my big dog Moles. Moles always calls him Daniel Brunskill because he's ass unless he's playing Aaron Donald. For some ungodly reason, he seems to figure it out. Now that's the NFC Championship game. He lost a little bit of that luster, and then Aaron Donald got the best of him a few times. It is hard to gauge the receivers when Jimmy G is the QB. Yeah, man, it's like the Terradome. He said it best, man. It's slant, the curl, the hook, whatever the case may be. So, it is definitely that type of situation when it comes down to it. But Daniel Brunskill's been on right guard for the past couple of years. We did draft Aaron Banks to go ahead and replace him. Don't know how far Aaron Banks is in his progression as a player and what development he's had. Did see him on special teams a little bit for the rest of this year. So to be honest with you, I'll say it like this. Daniel Brunskill, you become expendable. We don't have to really worry too much about him. He can pretty much walk the streets free. There's nothing about him that's going to be, anything that we really have to be concerned with. So Daniel Brunskill, you can go. Next up, center Jake Brendel. Jake Brendel never saw the field. He was only a backup, and we don't know how much he learned. I know that him and Trey Lance have a little bit of a rapport, obviously because he was there running the scout team with Trey Lance. So Alex Mack is currently our center. We do not know if that man will retire. We did sign him to a 3-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. So because of the uncertainty with Alex Mack, I'll go ahead and say let Brendel stay, but you're going to get him on a super cheap deal, man. He's not going to cost you a ton of money. And the next guy on the list is Kentavious Street. Now, Kentavious Street did something he ain't never done his whole career. I think he was almost healthy for the whole damn season. And he was. He played all 17 games. He had 27 tackles, 3 sacks, 6 tackles for a loss, and a forced fumble. So Street came along a little bit, what do you say? Terradome out here tripping, man. Terradome says starting over Aaron Banks is like being the tallest. Brunskill could go. You have to change, man. They call themselves little people. Shane Rose, Brunskill can go. Yeah, because Banks has such a great year. I don't know, but I think they're gonna go ahead and roll forward with Banks anyway. But Kentavious Street, back to him. Street, he had a couple of sacks. He did a few things, but we've had him for years, man. And this is probably the first year that he's actually been able to stay healthy, stay on the field, and produce in some way, shape, or form. So for me, Kentavious Street can go. Only reason being, it's not really a place for him. We don't really need him. There's nothing really that he can do for us. And, we already have starters, and I know we need rotational pieces, but I think we can find much better in the draft possibly. So now we're moving into some exclusive rights free agents. And exclusive rights free agents, or ERFA, just basically means you got to go through us before you try to go any fucking where else. And you got to clear waivers. So if we want to keep you on some bullshit and on a cheap deal, we can. And there's not much you can do about it because you don't have enough time in the league to be able to go ahead and do these things. And again, one of the guys here is Demetrius Flannigan-Folds. Now, Demetrius ain't do much of nothing. I don't really care for him. I didn't like him. Bye, Demetrius. I'm not going over your stats. You're not worth my time. Nothing against the guy personally. Next guy up is Jermichael Hasty. Now, Here's the hard part about JaMycal Hasty. When I looked at Hasty coming out of college, this young man was the prototypical Shanahan back. Okay? Prototypical. He was great catching the ball out of the backfield, great straight line speed, all of these things. Got into the league, we didn't see none of that. He's okay. Nothing really to fall out over. So for me, not going to read your stats. Not going to give you a lot of shine. You're an exclusive rights free agent. They'll probably bring you back to the practice squad and bring you up if they want you to. But for me, he can go. He all right, but I mean, I don't see enough to really get into him. So it is what it is. He can go. Next thing on the list here, Jauan Jennings. Now, this is a guy that we're definitely going to keep. Okay. And the reason being is because Jauan Jennings he came on and he grew as a receiver. He played 16 games. He had 24 catches, 282 yards, 11.8 yards a catch, and he had 5 touchdowns. You know what I mean? So, and the other thing is Jauan Jennings is what we wanted Jalen Hurd to be. He's a monster when he blocks. Like he eradicates competition in front of him when he blocks. So we love that. He's got a lot of dog in him. I forget what game it was. I think it was the Titans game or somewhere where he caused a 15-yard penalty by just standing there and laughing in the dude's face. Got pissed off. So everything about him says you got to keep him. And you got to love that, man, because to be honest with you, when you look at our statistical outline this year, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that had 5 or more TDs. And that is Ayuk, Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Jauan motherfucking Jennings. So I love Jennings, and I want him to stay. He's an exclusive rights free agent, so he ain't going no goddamn where. Jauan Jennings, you get my stamp of approval. Stay here. Don't go nowhere. There it is right here. Teradone said it. Jennings is that dude. Character, production, toughness, catches like Crabtree. Keep him. There it is. And Cook Smoke Sports says, Dion, do you think there will be a speedster we can get in the later round? We need that Goodwin John Ross breed with Trey's arm. That's a great question. I don't know. I have to start looking into the draft. I'll be 100% honest with you. I don't watch college football like that unless it's the UCLA Bruins. And we didn't have a speedster on our squad. But I'm going to start looking into the draft, taking a little bit of a closer look. The one thing that I'm very fortunate about is we have the I Am Athlete podcast where they have basically a training system. That's literally how Eric Stokes got discovered. Nobody knew who the fuck Eric Stokes was till he ran that crazy ass 40 at the I Am Athlete Combine. So that's going to be a cool thing for me to be able to keep up with because they do theirs before the actual NFL Combine. So we'll be able to take a look at some dudes there, and they highlight a few guys and try to bring them out and help them get drafted. Shout out to Brandon Marshall and the whole staff, Michi Marshall, I Am Athlete, I Am Woman Pivot podcast, with Crowder and Fred Taylor, and all the guys, man. I love that stuff. Shout out Chad Johnson. Those dudes are amazing. But I'll take a look and I'll see, because I'll come back with the draft show. I'll probably do a nice little mock draft, to see where we need to go in the draft and what we need to do. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not 100% sure right now. But yeah, late round burner, coming from Shane Rose. He said there's a guy named Bo Melton. So we'll definitely have to take a look into this guy, Bo Melton, and see what's up. Hey, look, Bo Jackson was the burner. So if your mama and your daddy named you Bo, they was probably hoping you had, some speed in you. But Jauan Jennings is definitely a keep. Richie James, not going to go even anywhere near him. Go, goodbye. There's another guy. These last 2 guys are going to be different. Now, Azeez Al-Shaair, we were working on a deal for him in the season, but we just didn't get it done. So I'm assuming they're going to give him a deal this offseason and keep him. I like Azeez Al-Shaair for what he's able to bring to this team and what he does for us on the defensive side of the ball. He filled in admirably when Fred Warner went down. Fred Warner led our team with 137 tackles. Azeez Al-Shaair is right behind him with 102 tackles, 2 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss, 5 passes defense, an interception, a forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries. All of that production right there to me says keep that man, keep him on the squad. I love Azeez Al-Shaair. And people, you got to say his name, Al-Shaair. It's not Al-Shire. Okay, it's not Shir. You just got to understand the way that you pronounce names when it comes to people's names. Some people will fuck it up. Me, if I can't say a name, I just won't say it. I'll give somebody initials or something, But then again, sometimes there's some names where I just laugh. Like Barkevious Mingo. That's a funny-ass name. Sorry, nothing against the guy, nothing against his parents for naming him that, but your name is Barkevious Mingo. Sorry, this shit's funny to me. It is what it is. So, Azeez, you stay. You hang out with us. Don't go nowhere. We like you. We want you to be around. We don't want you to go nowhere. We want you to stay here with the Niners and with that linebacking core along with Fred and Dre. Now, the next guy we have here is Kevin Givens. Now, I like Kevin Givens as a rotational piece. He only played 13 games. He had 17 tackles. He had 1 TFL, and that was about it as far as the season really went. But he's good as a rotational piece because he's good at getting pressure on the quarterback. So Givens, you bring him back on a nice little cheap deal. Not a lot. Just bring him in, call it a day. Oh, no, I've seen the Key and Peele skit where they going through them football names. That shit is, Octavius Skittle. The Key and Peele skits are off the chain, man. I love them, man. They are hilarious. Their substitute teacher is fucking amazing. I love that one. The football players with these names, I was like, what the fuck? But the truth of it is, they're not lying. There's some crazy ass names out here, man. And me working in banking, you get to see some crazy shit. You get to see some names that you have no idea where the fuck this shit came from. My wife was working and she told me there was a dude, his name was Lake Drawn. Lakedrawn. Lake Drawn. What the fuck? Who? Some of these names, you be just looking like, I don't know where you, okay, your mom, somebody from the South. Nothing against people from the South because I love people from the South, humble people, very good people. But some of the names they come up with just be off the fucking chain. So that is the last guy. When it comes down to the free agents that we have, Kevin Givens, so I would say keep him. So out of these free agents, let me go ahead and see how many guys I kept. Let's see. We got 1, we got 2. Let's see here. And 3, 4. Let's see. And 5, 6, 7. So I kept 7 guys. So I believe we had about 22 to 30 free agents. I kept 7 of them. And those guys are all key pieces to the defense and offense. And they have produced for us in big ways. So, outside of Kevin Givens, technically from a statistical standpoint, you wouldn't think he produced, but he did. That's just the guys that I would keep. And those are the guys that I would go ahead and figure out. Now, once again, we do have coaches to hire. That's going to be the sad part about this, man. And I'll go over it again. We need an offensive coordinator. We need a special teams coach. We need a tight end coach. We need a wide receivers coach. And I guess we need some assistant offensive line coaches. So they'll find that. They'll go ahead and, Shanahan will scour the NFL and find a couple of his dudes that he wants to bring up, switch them up from quality control guys, maybe just different people that he'll bring along and fill those positions. I don't think we're going to be without guys for too long. And, to be honest with you, sometimes when you have these positions that are open, you kind of dig back into the well. You go back to the players that used to play for us. Find the dudes. I mean, these dudes probably ain't doing nothing but sitting on the couch, chilling, watching football, maybe even commentating. They may have their own podcast. We don't know what they're doing. But, I've always said I would love for Jerry Rice to be our wide receivers coach. I would love for Patrick Willis to coach our linebackers. You know what I'm saying? I would love to bring Jesse Sapolo or Larry Allen or certain guys in to coach the offensive line. Like I would like have former players to be able to do that as far as coaching, strictly because they understand the players. They know what they're going through on a day-to-day basis, and they connect with them more. And it's always great when you have somebody that's understanding what you're going through and that's sympathetic to your plight, or empathetic to your plight, whichever way you want to take it. But, hey, man, shit, Terradome, if you got the skills, shit, man, look, you better run out there. If you out there in California, man, you slide through over there, Santa Clara, man, they can figure it out. I wouldn't mind it. But the other thing is Spaces have been going off. And if you don't know what Spaces is, spot on Twitter where you can go, you talk, you have conversation. Spaces has been going off, lately, and a lot of people have been kind of torn, because you got people who want Jimmy back and you got people who want to move on, like I do, to Trey Lance. A lot of talk about Tom Brady possibly coming in because that's his hometown team. He wants to win, all this other stuff. I don't really care for it. Only reason being is because I feel like we're going to have to tailor the offense to what Tom Brady does. And then that's us changing the offense, us learning something new for him, us learning something new to accommodate what he wants. And I just don't see Kyle doing that. I see us moving forward with Trey Lance. I see us trading Jimmy Garoppolo, hopefully before the draft. The only other thing we have to have happen is the other two dominoes need to fall, i.e. Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson. We don't know where Rodgers is going to go. A lot of speculation. He'll wind up going to Denver. Speaking of Denver, long story short, we got a young man named Brian Allen Folks, but he just goes by Brian Allen. He is a black man that does want to buy the Denver Broncos. We are trying to get into ownership as currently right now with all of the things going on in the climate around the NFL with the unfortunate, differences between, minorities in power versus minorities not in power. So it kind of is what it is. John V, what's going on, brother? So, if he gets with Tom House, ain't no stopping him. A lot of people wanted him to get with Pep Hamilton, but Pep Hamilton is not offensive coordinator over there with the Houston Texans, along with Lovie Smith being hired as their head coach. So, those are some things that happen. But me personally, I want to move forward with Trey Lance. It is what it is. There is no question about it. And I'll be on Real Talk Niner Talk next week on Wednesday. Shout out to those guys. We're going to have a very, very tough discussion. And we're going to talk about some things that are going to make some people uncomfortable. But sometimes these uncomfortable discussions will open the door and open your eyes to enlighten you to things as we see it. As as brothers, as minorities, as people of color, how we see things versus what you may think, and a lot of people have a little bit of tunnel vision and thinking that everybody who gets hired is the best person for the job, where it doesn't always work that way. To keep it a buck, this is their fraternity. Real Talk Niner Talk is on YouTube, man. Those are some guys that keep it buck. You know what I'm saying? Got my dog Silverado Kev, we got Don, Super Dave OG, Judah Great, and King Sersky over there, man. My dog Will. So they have a fantastic show. And they do their own thing. They create Niner content. Kenneth Goldsmith was happening. So we're going to be talking about, some real things that have happened. And, we're going to open that Pandora's box into the NFL and race and the things that go on and the things that happen. I'll end off with this because we're right at about an hour. And I'll say this. When Roger Goodell was just recently interviewed right outside of SoFi Stadium, Jim Trotter smacked him in the face with some reality. And I'll leave you guys with this, and I want y'all to stew on this and look at this and think in your mind how crazy this is. Jim Trotter said, in the 100-year history of the league, 24 of 32 franchises have had one black head coach. So that means there's 8 teams that still have not had one. Those teams are the Buffalo Bills, the Washington Commanders, the New York Giants, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Patriots, the Rams, the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Falcons, the Saints, the Seahawks, and the Titans. Now, here's the thing. Patriots, shit, you got Bill Belichick. Fuck, you need to hire a new coach for. Kind of understandable. The Bills, they've been through a couple of head coaches. They finally found their guy. But before they found their guy, they had an opportunity to hire a brother. Never did it. The Washington Commanders, I don't think any black people honestly want to go over there. That place is a shit show and Dan Snyder's a dick. Just my thought process. New York Giants. I'm not even going to get started on that. Jacksonville Jaguars. The owner is Shad Khan, who's the only minority owner that even exists. Have no idea why we ain't had a brother down in Jacksonville when Florida produces nothing but football talent. Just saying. Like I said, Patriots, you cross them off the list. They didn't have Belichick for the last 20 years. Now, the times before that, probably would have had the opportunity to go hire a brother. I don't know if they was hiring a brother at the time when they had the actual Patriot on the side of the helmet. There's a lot of things. The Rams have ran through a litany of head coaches. And, there have been a couple of dudes that were great. Some dudes that sucked ass. Jeff Fisher was fucking trash, and they kept his ass there year after year. Baltimore Ravens. They've had John Harbaugh for so long, I don't really think they even thought of looking to find another head coach. So, somewhat understandable. The Cowboys. It's Jerry Jones, man. I mean, shit, he's fucking from Arkansas. White dude from Arkansas and now lives in Texas. Starting Republican. Come on now. I don't even have to go further into that. Let's see here. Falcons. I don't know. Arthur Blank doesn't strike me as a dude who doesn't really care for black folks, so not really sure why that happened. New Orleans Saints. You're in fucking New Orleans. I know they've had Sean Payton over the past few years, and they've had, Drew Brees for all that time, but you're in fucking New Orleans. There's a million black people running around with head coaching experience there that you could definitely have given a job to. I'm 100% sure of it. Seattle Seahawks. Not really sure why that's happened. They've had Pete Carroll for a little bit. They had Russell Wilson for a little bit. But, there was a little bit of time where they were relevant here and there. But you could have done it. Tennessee Titans. In fucking Tennessee. I mean, tell me there ain't nobody black in Tennessee that could give you a head that has head coaching experience that you could have hired. Number one thing that I have to say about this is, and the 49ers have only had one black head coach in their history, and that was Mike Singletary. So the number one thing, I'll leave you with those things and those numbers and those names and those teams. What I want you to open your mind and expand it to is there are people out there that should be hired, but because they don't look like the owner and move like the owner and talk like the owner, and the owner can't identify with them in any way, shape, or form, they are afraid of the unknown, therefore they will not hire and or keep it a buck. They honestly probably are just racist and they're only interviewing black people because of the Rooney Rule. Shout out to the Rooney family for creating such. But at the end of the day, all you're getting is a fucking interview. That's all it really guarantees you. It guarantees you an interview. It is what it is. Who's had the most black head coaches? That is research that I have not done, but I will do over the weekend, and I'll get back to you on that one, Matt. If you know, put it in chat. I do not know who's had the most black head coaches in the league. I know that we have had Doug Williams was a Super Bowl winner. He was black. Tony Dungy was the first African-American head coach to ever win a Super Bowl. I believe the next person to win a Super Bowl that was African-American at the quarterback position was Russell Wilson. Kaepernick came close with his Super Bowl appearance. And I don't think there's been any other brothers in the Super Bowl that have had that opportunity to be able to go out there and get it. So these are things that are there, that are in your face, that make you uncomfortable, but these are conversations that need to be had, followed by action. See, the number one key in this world is you can talk about shit for as long as you want. Unless you do something, it means nothing. I liken it to this. It's like standing there talking to somebody and they talking shit to you. Do you really got a fire on them? Probably not. Ain't no need to. For what? Why do you have to resort to violence? You can just ignore the ignorance. You just got to be smart, have thick skin, have a tough mind. Now, if that person physically attacks you, all rights and privileges to whoop their ass. But the thing is, if you got all this and there ain't no action behind it, what does it matter? That's how that works at the end of the day. There must be action coming from your words for anything to even progress in this league. Roger Goodell was told by a reporter from Washington, you've been here for 15 fucking years and still ain't changed shit. And none of the other commissioners ahead of you, behind you, did anything else. So what are you doing that's different? And he gave lip service as usual because he works for the owners. Well, we need to have more conversations. We need to have more conversations. They're better than me because I'd have got up and told them, fuck the conversations, where's the goddamn action? Period. I don't need you to tell me that you're going to talk about this shit. Do something about it. At the end of the day, want the reality of the shit? These cats is all white. They ain't got to let us into their fucking fraternity if they don't want to. They don't have to sell their motherfucking team if they don't want to. They bought it outright. It's theirs. And they do what the fuck they want with it. Period. Is it fair? No. Is it reality? Unfortunately, yes. But what I will tell you is there should be ways to impeach these motherfuckers and get them out of here and get minority ownership into the league when they do stupid ass shit. When Bob McNair said the inmates were running the asylum, take his fucking team. Dan Snyder, for all the sneaky, underhanded shit that he's continually hiding, and the NFL seems to be just abiding and just sweeping under the rug, get his ass the fuck out of here and get minority leadership in here. That's basically how that shit works, man. You know what I'm saying? There's ways that we could do that. And there's ways that we can get shit, get people into the league by showing these people are unfit to own a team because they don't even know how to treat people. The only reason Dan Snyder changed the name from the Redskins was because before, the people that are funding his field now, the people that used to fund his field were FedEx. And FedEx came in and basically said, if you don't change that name on the Redskin, we're going to pull our funding and figure out a way to keep this motherfucker open without us. You start fucking with rich people money, they start making fucking moves. They don't want to be played with like that. When you dig in their pockets, that's when you start forcing them to take action on shit. It's just how it works. So at the end of the day, are there ways to get minority ownership in because of some of the egregious things that have happened in the NFL? Yes. Will Roger Goodell and the powers that be in that NFL office enforce it? I doubt it highly, but these are the things that happen that tell you there is a problem, it needs to be addressed, and there must be action. There must be consequences for the shit that you do. That's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it. I appreciate y'all for stopping in. Thank you so much. Callie Young says Doug Williams was the first black QB to win the chip. Yes, he was. He was. And he owns that moniker, and I can appreciate for him. You know what I'm saying? But these are all things that happen in the NFL, and we need real change. But we need action. All this talking ain't doing shit. I can sit here and talk my head off for the next 7 or 8 hours. I don't mean a fucking thing. If I'm out here and I have the power to change things and do things, then I have to take action and make that stuff happen. Appreciate y'all for stopping in. Thank you so much. I had 14 people in here, man. I appreciate every single last one of y'all, man. My dog, John V. Terradome, appreciate you for hanging out with your boy. Matt, I got nothing but love for you. Kenneth, everybody that came in here, man. Callie, all of y'all. Appreciate y'all for being Niner fans, man. Stay up, stay faithful. I'm out this joint. Continue to be blessed. Have yourself a fantastic weekend, man. And hey, even though we ain't in the Super Bowl, at a bare minimum, I'm definitely watching the halftime show. Thank you, 49 Chanel. I'm watching the halftime show because we finally got some rap on the halftime show, and I'm very ecstatic about that. You got Kendrick Lamar. You got Dr. Dre. You got Snoop. You got Mary J. Blige. They threw Eminem in there. Like, I'm good with that. I've been waiting for a halftime show where we had rappers. I would love for us if the next one we have in the Bay, all Bay rappers. 40 out there, Short out there. Pay homage to Mac Dre. You know what I'm saying? Get the Bay Area cats in there, man. Get the licks in there. All kinds of stuff. But thank y'all so much. Y'all have a wonderful day. Stay blessed. Stay